What's the worst thing you've ever found in your food at a restaurant? A tooth inside my hamburger. I was too scared to ask why that happened, so I just threw it away and got out of the place. This happened to me when I was a kid, but it turned out to be my tooth. Glass. When I was in 7th grade, my family was eating one of those big family style salads at an Olive Garden. I'm weird and eat salad with a spoon. I put a spoonful of salad into my mouth and felt something cut the inside of my cheek while I bit down on something hard. I pulled out a bloody chunk of glass. The restaurant accused us of lying, even though we didn't ask for anything in return. We just wanted to let them know so no one else got hurt. Plus, if we were going to lie, why would my parents have chosen their 13-year-old daughter to be the target of salad glass? They did end up comping me and my dad's meals, but we still paid for my mom's and other siblings. Not really a restaurant, but my uni's cafeteria. I took the salad. There was the corpse of a frog neatly cut in half. Another guy found the other half. No clue how it got there. Bagged lettuce. Not uncommon. I used bandage with blood on it in my guacamole. Ye found it when it went into my mouth. Back when I was a teenager, I had a job at a fast food restaurant. That morning, while doing prep, I cut my finger. I put a band-aid on it and continued working. Later in the shift, while I was frantically making sandwiches, the band-aid was lost. I've often wondered who found that on their sandwich. There were no complaints, so it may have been consumed. A large mosquito-looking fly with an incredibly long proboscis in a salad I was eating. I turned over one leaf of lettuce, and it was laid out beautifully with the proboscis fully unfurled. It looked like a fossil, perfectly preserved in vinaigrette, like it almost had to have been placed that way on purpose. I don't think I was a D2, that waiter, but maybe? I was at a local restaurant chain, Northeast US, and ordered a buffalo chicken wrap. Got about halfway in and bit into a large metal bolt and chipped my tooth. Not a good time. 0/10ths recommend. Zinc and calcium in one meal. Sounds like a win to me. An entire rat snake in a no. 10-sized can of green beans. The guess is crawled into the can at some point and just got filled with beans and then retorted. The can guy said it probably drowned before it was cooked. Poor fella. The last 2 times I went to Steak and Shake, I got earrings in my shakes both times. One was a stud earring and the other was a hoop. I wouldn't eat there ever again, even if it was my only choice. Not me, but when I was at Panorama, my friend found an Allen wrench in her salad. Like, how TF does that happen? What? I just posted about my mom finding a bolt the size of an orange in her Panorama salad. The F is going on? Panorama. Client bit into a shard of metal in his beef soup. Broke his tooth. Got $10K from the restaurant. I got a cream cheese baguette on the go and was eating it while walking. Did not really look at what I was biting into. One bit was quite difficult to chew, and I pulled a finger of a latex glove out of my mouth. I found a full receipt crumpled up into the size of a marble in the gravy of a Yorkshire pudding at an English pub style restaurant. I bit on it, was confused, pulled it out of my mouth, and unwrapped a full legible receipt from the night before. I showed the waiter, and he said he talked to the owner. The owner said I could choose to pay my bill or the receipt I found in my food. The total on the receipt I found was almost $30 more than what I ordered. I was shocked with the service and never went back. I also left without paying. F that place. A completely raw chicken wing covered in sauce in a basket of cooked chicken wings. A cabinet hinge in a salad. Went to Cracker Barrel and ordered fried liver. Every piece was raw, just breaded blood. Worms. I'm a chef and all of the monkfish has to be checked for parasites when we get it. Any fish can have parasites, but monkfish is the only one where I have to cut the wiggling bastards out myself. It's safe to eat, but I won't order it anymore, no matter how delicious it is. Ignorance is bliss. An inch-long bolt in my mashed potatoes. Fortunately I found it with my fork and not my teeth. The manager informed me later that the bolt had fallen off of their industrial mixer. When I was working at a hospital in the dietary department, We had a pizza day one day of the month. So we got in pre-made crusts so we could make the pizzas quickly, made them all, and proceeded to slice them when one of them had an electrical wire coiled up throughout the entire base of the pizza. I was like 15 or 16 at the time, and I remember being absolutely shocked at how an entire wire could be coiled into a pizza crust. The wire was like a teal color and the color had leaked into the surrounding dough. Man, that was messed up. Nothing but tomatoes, after telling the dude to put everything but tomatoes. Worst thing I found in my food was what turned out to be cardboard from the box of mushrooms, but was unidentifiable when I pulled it out of my mouth initially. Worst thing my boyfriend found in his food, an M&M in a burrito from Taco Bell. That may or may not have been dropped out of the mouth of the person who made the burrito at Taco Bell. It was horrific. The mystery. My BF called the Taco Bell and demanded to know if because it was the holidays people had been throwing around M&Ms or something. The manager looked in the back and said, "Huh, now that you said it, I'm seeing a lot of M&Ms back here." I was given a dirty spoon at the local Waffle House. When I asked for a replacement, the waitress got upset and gave me a long explanation as why the dirty spoon was not her fault since the previous shift had washed them. I simply replied, "But you are the one that gave it to me." I don't think she liked me. A girl's shoe. I was dining outside once and this little girl was jumping around dancing nearby while waiting for her parents. I guess my back was to her, so I didn't see what happened. She must have done a little kick of her foot at one point because her shoe went flying up in the air and landed in my dinner. Her father came over shortly thereafter and bought me a replacement. And then he gave her a talking to. Having a peaceful dinner interrupted by a sparkly kid landing in it was a bit surreal. I had once a wasp in my cake. It was dead and I didn't have to pay. A giant chunk of hair in my salad. Like, it wasn't even a good prank because as soon as I started mixing it, I saw this massive chunk of hair and stopped. I sent it back and the waitress asked, "Would you like a replacement salad?" I said, "Hell no. I wanna pay whatever I owe for the drinks and go somewhere else." She got the manager that I definitely didn't ask for or want to speak to. Manager said drinks were on the house and asked me to stay and let him make it up to us. I politely declined since he was being so polite. I took my free drinks and left. Never went back there again. I did get about $30 or $40 worth of free alcohol out of it though. I didn't ask for it, but it was nice of him to do that. My girlfriend at the time was so grossed out by this giant ball of hair that she actually started dry heaving. That's what got the waitress's attention. One time my family ordered pizza for takeout from a local pizza place. When we got home and opened it, there was a huge tangled hairball on the pizza. It was a hairball the size of a golf ball at least. I have no idea how that could happen. Now I love the taste and consistency of Lindt chocolate balls, but I purchased an assorted bag and bit into a white chocolate ball to see the inner creamy chocolate portion, and staring back at me was a human hair half sticking right out at me, smack dab in the middle. Took pictures and sent to Lindt. They thought they'd make it good with me by sending me more chocolate. My brother and I went to eat at a Mexican restaurant, and I came in a few minutes after him. We ate through that basket of chips, and we brought a refill, but the chewed up gum in the wrapper was facing me instead of him this time. I turned around and said, "Gross. I don't want your nasty chewed up gum on my side." His eyes got as big as saucers, and he said, "That's not my gum." The restaurant did not change the pieces of wax paper in the bottom of the chip basket. My brother immediately spit the mouthful of chewed up chips and salsa into the chip basket, and we notified our waiter. We saw our waiter pick up the basket of chips, walking into the kitchen, dump the whole thing in the top of the chip warmer. Yes, my brother's chewed up chips were dumped into the restaurant's supply of chips. Story time. I worked in food trailers as a summer job in college. We went to a new festival in the state next to us along a large river where they were having boat races. The health inspector tells us that we need screens all around the trailer. We have nothing like this. With our semi-skill and a trip to the hardware store, we quickly build large screen frames and put them up in the trailers. 2 days later, the mayflies emerge from the river by the millions. I cannot tell you how horrible this was for a kid nowhere near a large body of water like this. In the seconds it took to open a window to serve food, a mayfly or two would get in and crash dive into the fryers. This was not really the worst, as we were able to fish out the bugs before serving any food. Now for the worst part. A couple days later, a new horror spawns from the river. This time it is these tiny bugs that easily fit through the screen holes. There are even more of these than the mayflies. They literally covered any light source, blacking out the outside lights. They were everywhere and got into the food. We notified the health inspector, who just shrugged and didn't really care, since it was a problem for everyone, even the people that were prepared. We served deep fried food with little black specks in it all night for 2 nights straight. We may have had 3 or 4 people complain, even though we were slammed all night. Apparently they never saw big onion rings before, and we were a hit. We made over $9,000 each night in that trailer alone. And every person that ordered our food got at least 10 to 20 tiny bugs in their order. Not really a restaurant or a thing, but one time I picked up some Jack in the Box for breakfast one lazy morning, and when I opened up the sandwich I ordered, there was a bite taken out of just the sausage patty. I was both confused and pissed off. Just like WTF. I called Jack in the Box, and they said that it wasn't a bite mark, but that a conveniently shaped segment of the sausage patty had just fallen off, and that they had found the missing part. They gave me a new sandwich. I'm not sure I buy their story though. Bizarre experience lol. Not a restaurant, but I opened a large bag of chips once and found a factory worker's glove inside. Not so much disgusted as I was baffled.